when you look at high reliability organizations, they all exhibit 5 tenets. And consistently, whether it's firefighters, whether it's naval operations, aviation, nuclear power, there's 5 tenets they all exhibit. And the 5 tenets are, one, and probably most important, is a preoccupation with failure. They have this constant preoccupation with failure. 2 is they have a reluctance to simplify. They know that their operations are complex, and so they have this reluctance just to take a simple answer. They have a sensitivity to operations. They know how the frontline staff works. They also have a resilience. They can overcome when things don't go as expected. There's things called brutal audits that occur when things don't go as expected, but they are well prepared to overcome. And the 5th tenet is a deference to expertise. They do not let the top make the decision. They make the decision at the people at the front line. So they exhibit those 5 tenets. And for me, the use of the phonetic clarifiers, you may not need them all the time, but if you're using them on an ongoing basis, I think it also sends that second message is, I have a preoccupation with failure, and I want you to have that preoccupation with failure, and it keeps us focused on the high reliability. So I always think it has that secondary benefit. So what has happened in the last 3 hours and 15 minutes or so is that we've had a lot of information, and somehow we have to make it stick. And so today, really all we have become is simply aware. By training staff and providers on air prevention alone, we will not improve safety and reliability. We will not do anything by simply training you. It will not be until staff and practitioners learn the tools, apply the tools, and purposely use them on a daily basis will we improve our safety at our organization. And in fact, the first thing that happens with awareness is we talked earlier about the frequency of events that are going on. Well, we said our events are occurring about every 75 days. There are probably many, many more events that just go unnoticed. There are thousands of precursors, 50,000 or so near misses. And when we start becoming more aware, we'll probably have initially an increase in our serious safety events. It's because we are now recognizing them and identifying them. But over time, if we purposely adopt these air prevention techniques, we will see improvements. And like I said at the beginning, we are not the first to enter this journey, to go on this journey. And HPI has partnered with many hospitals and has seen improvement. And this is true data coming from other organizations. And what they're measuring here is the serious safety event rate, which is the number of serious safety events as the numerator, and the denominator is a rolling 10,000 patient days. And so they keep an ongoing rate. And this 5-hospital system up here started here. They did the training. They trained everybody like we did here today, tens of thousands of people. They saw a bump in their rate because people started reporting more, becoming more aware, and they started adopting the tools. And over a 3-year period, they had a 78% reduction in their serious safety event rate. This other hospital system, the same exact thing. At first the rate went up, and then when they adopted the tools, they ended up with a 91% reduction in their serious safety event. So we started this talk about the harm that we are doing. By adopting these tools and engaging in this, we can, using evidence-proven benefit, change what we're doing. We can make a difference. So let me review. Our safety, our air prevention techniques are remembered by using the mnemonic SAFETY. S stands for team member checking and team member coaching using 5-to-1 feedback. A, assertion and escalation, speak up for safety using ARC and stop the line. F, focus attention to detail, the STAR technique. E, exercise a questioning attitude, validate and verify. T, transfer critical information, 5 Ps for effective handoff, or SBAR. And Y, yes, that's correct, 3-way repeat back and readbacks, phonetic or numeric clarification, or clarifying questions. So let's quickly break down a very, very common error here at Valley View. And when an error occurs, there are always 5 individual failure modes. Okay, so we can classify an error into one of 5 modes. And so we're going to try to remember those 5 modes. And so half of you at this table are going to be consciousness. Okay, so 3 of you are consciousness. The other 2 are going to be competency. Okay, your table back there is going to be compliance. Okay, you guys are going to be critical thinking, and you 2 are going to be communication. Sometimes Ellen and I are communication, but that doesn't always work very well. So you got your part. So the 5 individual modes of failures are consciousness, compliance, competency, critical thinking, and communication. Okay? So one of the most common errors that we see here at Valley View, it happens all the time, is the weight is put in wrong. I can't tell you how many times at safety huddle, oh, we had a weight put in wrong last night, the medication dose was wrong, the patient got the wrong amount of medication, they got too little, they got too much. It happens over and over. It happens in the ER, it happens in the clinics, it happens in the ICU, it happens on the floor. And over again we hear the weight was put in wrong, and then what we hear is I'll go back and talk to the staff. And you know what that does? Nothing. Right. The weight is still put in wrong, and these keep happening because the system is perfectly designed to get the results that we get. So we need to adopt these tools and understand the root cause of what's causing the weight to be put in wrong. So if a weight is put in wrong, and I go back to John and I say, John, what happened? And he says, the baby peed on the scale, the mom was upset, I wasn't even thinking. What is the individual failure mode? Consciousness. Right. Okay. So consciousness. So what mode of thinking was he in? A skill-based, rule-based, or knowledge-based? Skill. So what technique in that setting do we need to emphasize in that clinical area? Star. Exactly. Star. Okay. If I go back to John and say, you know, what happened? And he says, well, I know the rule is you're supposed to put it in kilograms, but the parents always like pounds, so I just did pounds. Okay? What's the individual failure mode? Compliance. Exactly. And so which mode was he in? Was he in a skill-based, rule-based, or knowledge-based? Rule. Right. He was choosing not to follow the rule. It may be a good reason. He may be trying to please the parents. But we then have to use which error prevention technique? We have to use team member checking and coaching. We have to go to John and say, not when he did it wrong, but all those other times when he was doing pounds and we overheard it, we have to say, oh, John, safety is our core value here. I know we have to stick to the kilograms. Okay, so by doing that, we would have prevented that. So in that department, we have to make sure we go back and re-emphasize this error prevention technique. What happens if I go to John and say, hey, John, what happened? And he said, I didn't even know it showed pounds and kilograms. I just write down what it shows. What's the individual mode failure there? Competency. And so which mode was he in at that point? This one's a little tricky. Skill-based, rule-based, or knowledge? It's actually rule-based, because knowledge-based is when you're acting outside your scope of your training. So if you had John go do an appendectomy, that would be knowledge-based. He was in rule-based. He had just learned the wrong thing about the scale. So which one would we have re-emphasized there? Again, go back. Everybody, we've got to do team checking and coaching. Let's practice that behavior over and over again. We're having those types of errors. All right, what happens if I go to John and he says, yeah, because our EMR, when the weight is outside the range for age, will turn red. And unfortunately, nowadays we see red weights more often than we used to for other reasons. But let's say John says, it turned red and it just didn't seem right. What's the individual failure mode there? Critical thinking. Okay? So critical thinking. So what error prevention technique do we have to reemphasize in that clinical setting? Validate and verify. He had that gut feeling. We've got to make sure we're actively validating and verifying. When you have that gut feeling, listen to it. Recheck it. We have it happen all the time. It just didn't seem right. seemed weird that that dot was way off, but I didn't go back and validate and verify. All right, what happens if I say to John, what happens? And he said, I didn't even actually weigh the baby. Susie weighed the baby. She just told me what it is. Communication. Then we have to go back and say, are you guys doing repeat and readbacks or numeric clarifiers? Well, she said 15, I put 50 in. Well, we got to do our phonetic clarifiers, our numeric clarifiers, and do a repeat. We would have avoided that with 15, that's 1-5. Okay, 1-5, that's correct. It would have gone away. So with that same error, we have to really understand what caused it, and then we can utilize these tools to prevent it. If we did that, we would avoid these errors. But right now, we just say, the weight is in wrong again. I'll go talk to the staff. Make sure you put it in right. Well, they wanted to put it right the first time. So we have to emphasize the error prevention techniques. So how will we know we're getting there? We will observe and hear everyone using our safety bundle tools, our error prevention techniques. We will hear it over and over again. We'll learn about our good catches. The number of events of harm will eventually go down. Our patient experience will improve. And we will all know what we can do to make Valley View a safe and reliable place. We're going to have one last video, or actually second to last video.
So ladies and gentlemen, at TED we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts, 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out. They won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership is over-glorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that at TED. Thanks.
So, as we close, what we ask is, if you truly care about patients and safety and what happens, we want you to have the courage to utilize this, to adopt it, to make it part of our daily practice. And so the courage to adopt this and to follow what we're doing. So begin practicing the tools, not tomorrow, not the next day, today. Make the tools habit, incorporate them into your work and home life. Share your good catches, stories with your peers and supervisors, and report things you see so that we can correct the system. We have to remember that these patients, these are our families, our friends, our neighbors, our colleagues. And it's for them that we truly have to stand up and stand together and make a difference. First and foremost, we have to say don't harm them, and we heal them, and we be nice to them in that order. So it's been a real privilege, actually, to participate in this. It's really been an honor, and we've enjoyed it. This is our last session for Ellen and I can say that it's really been a difference to meet with everybody. So we value your feedback. We hope that you'll make a difference. You'll have in your folders, you'll have an opportunity to fill out a feedback session so that we can improve this. You can also get CME credit, and we'll hand those out. And if you're nursing, you'll get CE credit, and we'll hand that out. But we appreciate your willingness to be here and take time out of your day. We're going to close with one last video and say thank you for your time.
Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this?
Thank you for your commitment, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you.